She was quietly mopping the lobby floor until the CEO overheard her speaking flawless Mandarin, Spanish, and French. What happened next left the entire company speechless. In the tall glass building of Hallberg International, people rushed in and out like busy bees. Men in suits talked fast. Women wore heels that clicked on the floor. Everyone had a place. Everyone had a name, except Denise Atwater. She wore a simple, grey uniform and pushed her cleaning cart down the long hallways. Every morning before the sun rose, she arrived. She cleaned the bathrooms, emptied trash bins, and wiped shiny desks no one remembered touching. People passed her without seeing her. "Morning," she'd whisper, but they didn't answer. Not because they were mean, but because they never really saw her. To them, she was just the janitor. But Denise didn't mind. She smiled as she worked, because deep inside, she carried a secret. Something powerful, something rare, and one morning the world found out. That day started like any other. Denise was cleaning near the front lobby when she heard two visitors arguing. They looked lost and confused. One spoke French, and the other spoke Mandarin Chinese. The front desk clerk stared, not knowing what to do. Denise calmly walked over. She smiled, then turned to the man from China. In perfect Mandarin, she said, "Hello, sir, can I help you find your way?" The man blinked. "You speak Mandarin?" he asked. Denise laughed softly. "Yes, and I speak French too," she said, turning to the woman and switching languages again. The two visitors looked amazed. They laughed and thanked her again and again. Denise smiled politely, then quietly walked away. But someone else had been watching. From the second-floor railing, Jonathan Kellerman, the CEO of Hallberg International, had seen the whole thing. He rushed down the stairs. "Excuse me, miss. What's your name?" Denise turned slowly, surprised. Denise Atwater. You just spoke two languages like it was nothing. Do you know others?" Denise nodded shyly. "Yes, I speak 9. Mandarin, French, Spanish, Portuguese, German, Arabic, Italian, Swahili, and Latin." Jonathan's mouth dropped open. 9, that's more than some diplomats," she smiled. "Languages are my friends." Jonathan looked stunned. "Come with me to my office." Denise looked at her cleaning cart. "Now?" "Yes, right now," he said. And just like that, her world began to change. Inside Jonathan's grand office, Denise sat in a chair that felt too big. He asked her how she learned so many languages. She told him everything. "I once had a full scholarship," she began, her voice quiet. "I studied linguistics, the science of language. I wanted to be a translator or a language teacher." "So what happened?" he asked gently. "My mom got sick, then my dad. I left school to take care of them. After they passed away, I had no money. I became a mom. I took any job I could, restaurants, stores, now here. I clean, but I still read textbooks at night, borrow library books, and practice with videos online." Jonathan listened, eyes wide. "So you taught yourself all those languages? On your own?" Denise nodded. "I'm a janitor on the outside," she said softly, "but I never stopped learning on the inside." The next morning, Denise was mopping the hallway when Jonathan appeared again. "Denise," he said, "I have a favor to ask." He explained that a group of Brazilian executives had arrived early. Their translator missed the flight. The meeting was in 1 hour. "I know you speak Portuguese," he said. "Can you help us?" Denise's eyes widened. "Me? In a business meeting?" He nodded. "Just try, please." Her heart pounded, but she agreed. In the shiny conference room, the table was surrounded by suits and laptops. Denise stood near the screen, her hands trembling. When the Brazilians walked in, she greeted them fluently in Portuguese, even using cultural expressions that made them laugh. During the meeting, she translated smoothly, adjusting tones, explaining small details about culture that helped both sides understand each other. The deal was signed. The guests were smiling. and everyone in that room was staring at the janitor like they were seeing her for the first time. The news spread fast. Did you hear about the janitor? She speaks 9 languages. She saved the Brazil deal. Soon, people who had never said hello were greeting Denise with smiles, but not everyone was happy. In the shadows of the office halls, 2 people whispered. Victor, from International Operations, folded his arms. She's just a janitor. This can't be real. Eleanor Craig, a board member, frowned. We can't just promote someone like that. No degree, no experience. She embarrassed the whole department, Victor hissed. But others felt different. They started talking about their own dreams, the ones they left behind. The next week, Denise was called to the big office again. Jonathan smiled. We've created a new role just for you, cultural liaison for international affairs. You'll help us work with partners around the world. You deserve this, Denise gasped. Me? But you're not just anything, Jonathan said firmly. You're brilliant, and it's time the world knew it. He reached into a drawer and handed her a badge with her new title. Tears filled her eyes. For the first time in years, Denise saw herself, really saw herself. Not as a janitor, not as a helper in the background, but as a woman who never stopped learning. The next day, Denise walked into Hallberg International wearing something new. Not just a blazer and neat shoes, but something shining deep inside her. She had a new badge, a new office, and a new title, Cultural Liaison for International Affairs. But even though the name had changed, the building hadn't, and some people still saw her the same. Her new office was small but beautiful. There was a desk, a computer, and a soft chair. Still, Denise felt nervous. She wasn't used to keyboards and business calls. She was used to scrubbing floors, but she was ready to learn. On her first full day, Jonathan invited her to a team meeting. She walked into the boardroom and the room went quiet. Some people smiled politely. Others didn't look up. Victor leaned over to another manager and whispered, I give her a week. She'll crack. But Denise stood tall. She took notes. She listened, and when it was her turn to speak, her voice didn't shake. There are 3 small cultural things the Tokyo team may not say out loud, she said, but if we ignore them, we'll lose the deal. Everyone looked at her. Jonathan nodded proudly. See, that's why she's here. 2 weeks later, a contract from the German branch arrived with serious mistakes. Words were mistranslated, and phrases sounded rude. No one noticed, except Denise. She brought it to Jonathan. If we send this, they might take it as an insult. Jonathan, he blinked. Are you sure? She nodded. 1 word can ruin a whole friendship. She rewrote the contract in German, then double-checked it in English. She even included polite phrases common in German business. When the letter went out, the German team replied quickly, We are deeply impressed by the cultural care. Thank you. As Denise succeeded, the whispers got louder. Victor called an emergency meeting. We're skipping steps, no college degree, no certificates. What message does this send? Eleanor Craig agreed. This isn't just about talent, it's about standards. Jonathan shook his head. We've had people with degrees mess up deals. Denise hasn't made a single mistake. She's lucky, Victor snapped. That's all. But behind closed doors, Victor did more than talk. He sent a fake email to the Paris team pretending to be Denise. He used wrong words, hoping to embarrass her. When the Paris team replied, confused and cold, Denise was shocked. I never sent this, she told Jonathan. Jonathan investigated. It traced the email back to Victor. Victor was fired, quietly. But Denise never bragged. She stayed kind, quiet, and focused. A few months later, Jonathan gathered the company in the break room. He stood beside a shiny gold sign above a new training room. It read, The Denise Atwater Learning Center. Gasps filled the air. Denise stepped forward, her hands covering her mouth. Jonathan said, This is a place for those who feel unseen, a place where janitors, interns, and dreamers can learn. Because brilliance lives everywhere. The crowd clapped. Some people cried. Denise gave a short speech. Her voice was clear but soft. I never stopped learning. Even when I had nothing, I had books, libraries, and my ears. I listened. I studied. I kept going. The company launched a new program inspired by her. It was called Voice Inside. It was for hidden talents, people working at the bottom, but dreaming of the top. Janitors, cooks, mailroom workers, and interns could now join classes, get mentorship, and grow. Denise taught the first class. She stood before a group of hopeful eyes, some older, some younger, some dressed like she once was. I was you, she told them, and maybe one day you'll be me, or even better. Still, it wasn't always easy. At lunch, Denise often ate alone. Some co-workers didn't know how to talk to her. A few were jealous. She heard the whispers. She just got lucky. She's a charity case. She's only here because of Jonathan, but she kept her head high. She remembered the nights she read Portuguese textbooks by candlelight while her daughter slept beside her. She remembered scrubbing bathrooms while repeating Italian phrases in her head. And she remembered her parents, how they taught her that. True value is what you carry inside. One evening, Denise walked home, holding her daughter's hand. Her little girl, Melody, looked up and asked, "Mommy, are you a boss now?" Denise smiled. "Not a boss, a helper. I help people understand each other." Melody thought for a moment. "I want to be like you." Tears filled Denise's eyes. "You can be anything, baby," she whispered. "Anything at all." Hallberg International had changed. The once silent janitor was now its most powerful voice across cultures, countries, and hearts. But Denise didn't walk around with pride. She walked with purpose. And yet, the world outside her office had more tests to throw. One morning, Denise received an emergency call from the German office. Their new deal with a local tech firm was falling apart. The client had misunderstood a proposal term, thinking Hallberg wanted full control of their software. They were furious. Lawyers were involved. Jonathan rushed into Denise's office. "I need you." Denise studied the emails, all in German. She noticed something subtle, a mistranslation of the phrase joint ownership as sole possession. "It's not the deal they're angry about," she said. "It's the word." Jonathan looked at her. "Can you fix it?" She smiled. "I already drafted a reply." Her letter was both clear and respectful. She acknowledged the misunderstanding and suggested a video call with live translation. On the call, Denise gently explained the cultural mix-up. The German team leader, Mr. Fischer, paused and nodded slowly. "Danke, Frau Atwater. Your explanation is rare. Most wouldn't care." By the end of the call, not only was the deal saved, it was expanded. At home, Denise faced a different kind of challenge. Melody had been invited to perform a solo poem at her school's cultural night. But days before the show, Melody came home with tears in her eyes. Someone said I shouldn't be up there. They said janitor kids shouldn't lead shows. Denise knelt and hugged her. "Do you know what I was doing when I was your age?" Melody shook her head. "I was reading old newspapers and teaching myself French. And people told me I'd never be more than a cleaning lady." Melody looked up. "But you're not just that now." Denise wiped her tears. "No, but even when I was still smart, and so are you. Go up there and show them." On cultural night, Melody stood on stage in a shiny blue dress and read her poem in 4 languages. The crowd stood to clap. Denise cried. A few weeks later, Denise was invited to speak at a global business conference in Chicago. Executives, CEOs, and scholars sat in the grand ballroom, expecting a woman in a suit with fancy degrees. But when Denise walked up to the stage in a simple black dress and low heels, holding no notes, the room fell silent. She began softly. "I was once the woman who emptied your trash, the one who mopped your floors while you talked on your phones. And while you talked, I listened. While you traveled, I studied. And while you ignored me, I grew." She spoke about culture, respect, and listening. She ended with, "Sometimes The most powerful people in your company wear the quietest shoes. The room erupted. People stood. Some cried. Others emailed Jonathan immediately. She changed the way I see my staff. Can we borrow her for a talk? She reminded me of my mother. Even Eleanor Craig, who once doubted her, asked Denise to lunch. She said softly, I judged you wrongly. I thought your lack of papers meant lack of knowledge, but you taught me something. Denise smiled gently. It's okay. Sometimes people don't mean harm. They just don't know where to look for value. Eleanor nodded. I know now. Thank you. Jonathan announced a new company policy. Every department must include a hidden talent discovery program. He stood before the whole company and said, if we had never listened to Denise, we would have lost a miracle. The staff clapped. This time, no one whispered behind Denise's back. In the halls, people greeted her with respect. In the cafeteria, she no longer sat alone. And in the elevator, a young janitor once whispered, you give me hope. Months later, Denise walked into the same hallway where she used to mop every morning. She passed her old cart, still sitting in storage. She paused, touched the handle gently, and smiled, not in shame, but in honor. That cart, that mop, those late nights were not failures. They were stepping stones. In the last meeting of the year, Jonathan asked Denise to share something for the interns. She stood up and said, success doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers, sometimes it scrubs, sometimes it waits in the shadows until someone believes in it. Don't wait for the world to see you. See yourself. Don't wait for a title to act like a leader. Don't wait for applause to be excellent. The room was still. One intern wiped a tear, another wrote every word down. Years later, Melody would tell her college friends, my mom started as a janitor, but she spoke 9 languages and changed a company. She's the reason I believe anyone can rise. And every time Denise passed by the training room that bore her name, she smiled. Because she knew brilliance doesn't come with a title. It comes with heart.